Going forward, whenever we begin the session, we will take a moment to close our eyes and make the shift from I, the body mind, to I, the pure consciousness, not even the witness. When you're meditating for an hour, you unconsciously are carrying that subtle thing, I, the meditator, am meditating. So if you've been meditating for some time, take that I, shift it from I, the meditator, to the pure consciousness. That is just like light, in which the I arises, and then the I attaches to the body mind who is meditating. So intentionally we shift that I again and again to that recognition. Today we'll do Atma Nirvriti, chapter 14. Kadinyadu Kadindayal Bandha Mevide. Past being past, where is bondage? So even as Ajatavad beginners, some of us have this illusion that karma causes karma phalam. Past action or thought leads to current projection. Even if you have become very clear, oh, this is a single screen that I am experiencing, you still have a subtle belief, a subtle past impression that you're carrying from Drishti Srishtivada level. And in this chapter, Atmananda will clear this deluded thinking. In this chapter, he speaks about the sense of bondage that you carry even though you start recognizing the truth that there is simply a single screen of awareness, or there is simply a oneness. At a hidden level, there is a subtle reference to the past projection and its current perception of a single screen. Have you noticed this? So Atmananda says, let's attempt to recognize this at a deeper level. One more level deeper than where we have reached now. He says, the Chid is not the cause of the Sat. The consciousness is not the cause of the existence. You are only carrying an idea that you, the consciousness, are projecting the personal existence. It's a subtle hidden reference to your theory that you've been carrying since Drishti Srishtivad, the theory of cause and effect, theory of karma and karma phala. The main point of this chapter is to break down, completely break your concept of karma and karma phalam. Why? Because you are still carrying that idea that even if this is a single screen, I am bound to experience this. But that means what? That means you are still considering yourself as the body mind or the witness of the body mind. If you had really progressed to the proper, clear understanding of being the pure consciousness, you would know how can pure consciousness be bound. So let's see this experientially rather than just relying on the logic. How can pure consciousness be bound? Yeah. So let's take an example. Say you were dreaming last night, and in that dream you were speaking to a friend, family member, whoever. You say to that person in the dream, "Did you complete the task?" And the person replies, "Yes, yes, I completed the task that you had told me to do yesterday." What does this mean? In the dream state, you, the dream subject, have assumed a continuity. In your dream state, there was a dream past, a dream yesterday, when you told this person to complete the task. And there is a dream today where he reports to you that I have completed the task. So, do you see? You not only imply continuity in the waking state, you also imply continuity in the dream state. It is assumed by the dream subject that there is a past, a present, and a future. Now you have come to Ajatavadin level in your waking state. So you say, no, there is no past, present, future. But you have a subtle hint of a previous now, a current now, and the now that is going to come. Do you notice this? Yeah, you still speak like that. Though you want to say only now, but you are very smart about it. You call it the previous now, the current now, and the next now. So become very clear that you are still implying the existence of time. And in that time, you are still implying cause and effect. The previous now is resulting in the current now. And this current now will result in a next now. So start recognizing this. This cause and effect is nothing but my past theory of karma leading to karma phalam. Action leading to some fruit of action. And the same thing I do even in my dream state. So tell me, how is your dream state different from your waking state then? You, the waking subject, assume that there is a continuity in the now. And when you become the dream subject, you assume there is a continuity in the dream now. You, the waking subject, assume that there is a previous now, current now, and next now in this waking state. And when you become the dream subject, you assume a past, present, and future in the dream state. How is your waking state different from your dream state? Tell me. You are still projecting that karma leads to karma phalam. Cause leads to effect. Is there a difference between dream state and waking state? You might say, yes, there is a difference. I can recall the waking state. Even if it is a single screen perception, I can recall this entire single screen perception, family, friends, social circle, whatever is happening in the current surrounding, even in this body mind. All these labels also I can still see it as a single screen and I can recall. That is why I'm calling this a waking now. But remember, you are the waking subject who's talking like this about the dream state, that in the dream state I cannot recall. Go back to this dream. What were you doing in this dream? Didn't you recall that yesterday I gave you a task? Isn't that recalling? So even in the dream state, the dream subject can recall and has a continuity. He also has a dream past, a dream present, and a dream future. So essentially, waking state and dream state are both similar. In fact, both are dreams. Right now, you take the stand of the waking state and you judge the waking now. And you call this the waking now single screen. Yeah? And you say, oh, but in the dream state there is not this single screen. It is. Don't forget that the dream subject, the one who's the character in the dream, he also feels the same about the dream state. He feels that that dream state is the real state. It is the waking state. For him, that is real now. For him, that real now, that real task was advised yesterday, was reported back to him today. The dream state is his waking state. Yes. So you can see the same illusion of continuity is there in my waking state. The same illusion of continuity is in my dream state. Both are illusory. Both are illusory. So, understanding this, does it make sense to judge anything from the waking state vantage point? No. I will urge you to take a higher level, a higher vantage point. Rise above the waking subject's vantage point and the dream subject's vantage point. You are the light of awareness in which both waking and dream states occur. You are the light of awareness in which both the waking state and the dream states occur. When these states are absent, it is called deep sleep state. But you are still there, right? That is why you say, I rested so well. Who rested so well? The waking subject had collapsed. The dream subject had also collapsed. Then, who rested so well? So, become very, very clear again and again. Whenever I take the waking subject's stand, I am at a lower vantage point. Let me just shift the I from the waking subject to the primordial awareness that I am. When again and again you do this, you will recognize I am all the time in my own nature. I've always been there. I have never been the waking subject. I have never been the dream subject. I was just assuming that. I was telling myself a story. From the level of the Ajatavadan, you will be able to see that there is reality only in the light of pure consciousness. The Chid aspect of the consciousness has the quality of being conscious and alive. It has the nature of knowledge. It is knowledge. Sat has the quality of expression of knowledge. Chid and Sat are not two separate aspects. They are one and the same. Both are knowledge. When you start shifting the eye from the wrong positioning of body-mind, or from the waking state or the waking subject in the waking state to the pure consciousness, you will recognize there is no doing, there is no experiencing, there is simply being, and there is simply knowledge. What do I mean by knowledge? That's where we are going one step deeper. Any action that you do is knowledge. Any thought is also knowledge. Think about waving your hand. Only think about it. The thought arises, it dissolves. Isn't it simply knowledge? Now actually raise your hand, wave, and put it back down. The action arose and the action disappeared. Isn't it simply knowledge? When you take the correct stand of being the pure consciousness, you see that everything is knowledge. Look at the current now. We are sitting remotely in different countries, Australia, America, I'm in Germany or in Austria. We're discussing Ajatavada. Is there any proof of different countries, different locations? Is there any proof of action, of sitting and listening from different locations? Is there any proof of thought? Is there any proof of perception? Or is it simply knowledge? Do you see it is all simply knowledge? There's not even a single screen of awareness. It's just the singleness of knowledge. That's all it is. Just pure knowledge. But what is the belief that pulls me back? A past belief. We feel that there is a current now, a previous now, a next now. One leads to the other. One is connected to the next. They are holding each other's hand. And there is some judge sitting there in the middle saying that this previous now's action leads to the current now's thought. Or this previous now's thought leads to the current now action. Karma leads to karma phalam. All belief, all stories. Do you actually experience karma and karma phalam in your direct experience? Do you see a thought over there who's sitting with the judge's cloak and the judge's hat, judging bad karma? There is no judge thought. Are you seeing everything as just the singleness of knowledge? Keval, Gyan. Yeah. Gyan without a knower. Has this become clear? Yeah, there is no knower, there is no doer, there is no experiencer. Keval Gyan. So now let's see how Atmananda clarifies this point for us. He clearly points us in the direction that past can never return. That means past karma cannot return in the form of a karma phalam now, a current karma phalam. Yeah? There can be no link between these two, the past karma and the current karma phalam. It's only a story that we've told ourselves. Yeah? So he's going to help break this concept. He's going to help us overcome this belief. So far is very clear? Yes, can I proceed with the shlokas? So we'll go to verse number 1. This means that a past karma cannot return in the form of a karma phalam in the now. This implies what? That the contents of this single screen, they are not a karma phalam in the now, which is a product or effect of some past karma. Yes? Therefore, there is no bondage. There is no link only for bondage to develop. We keep feeling my past now, my previous now had a craving or aversion, and that projected the current now's single screen. Whatever is there in my single screen, if an action is happening or there is a thought happening, I feel this current now's action or this current now's thought is a product of my previous now. It's a subtle belief I carry from Drishti Srishti Vad when I'm just beginning Ajatavad. That is why he breaks it for you right at the beginning. He says that belief that it is my actions projecting this single screen in the form of a thought or action is false because past cannot come back. Not a thought, not an action. Nothing can come back. So he clarifies it with experiential logic. Yeah? There is tarka used, but the tarka is that which comes from my own anubhav. So it is experiential logic. Let's look at verse 2 and see what he says there. Experientially, let's check. Can a physical action exist in a thought? And can a thought exist in any physical action? Let's do this experientially to understand what he is saying. He's pointing out that only if they exist one in the other can they have a connection with each other. If they cannot exist one in the other, they cannot have a connection with each other. Right now, you're doing an action of listening carefully. Yes, you are doing the action of listening carefully and probably making notes. Now let a thought arise. I am listening. Did you notice when there is the thought, the action of listening was not there? Did you notice that when the action of listening is there, the thought I am listening is not there? Isn't there only one arising at a time? Yeah. So Atmananda is right in saying that there is no thought in an action and no action in a thought. That is why they can have no connection with each other. Because to have a connection with each other, they have to be in one another. So that brings us to the verse number 3. We always have this feeling, no? That if a thought occurs after an action, it is related to it. Even if it is the same topic or different topic, it occurred after the action. That is why it is related. It's a very subtle belief that we carry. Yeah. You look. Right now, you have the feeling that the action of listening is related to the thought that we just experimented with a few minutes ago. I am listening. Because that thought occurred after the action of listening. But when you look closely, you will notice action was not present when the thought occurs. Thought is not present when the action occurs. They are not related. I pretend to create a story. I create a connecting story between them. And then I fill in blanks like that. And then I believe in this fill in the blank story that I have created. And I hold on to it. That is bondage. I'm not seeing the truth. The truth is the thought arose, it died. Action arose, it died. There was no connection between the two. I continuously weave stories. I believe in them. Hence, I cause suffering to myself because I create the story now that I'm bound by this. Yeah. He'll explain more in depth. But I just started with explaining to you, bringing out this truth that I create bondage by weaving a story between the two. So let's see what he says in the next verse. Now let's understand what is the meaning of the word connection. Connection implies that one is holding the hand of the other. Or connection implies one has an impact on the other. Or connection implies one leads to the other. Or connection implies one causes the other. But now let's look at our direct experience. We have seen that there is no time, there is no past, no present, no future. When there is just the now, there is no question of a previous event leading to an event in the now. So time was the basis for causality. But we have clearly seen there is no cause and there is no effect. So one cannot lead to the other, one cannot cause the other, one cannot even have an impact on the other. For one to have an impact on the other, both should exist simultaneously, the action and the thought. But they do not exist at the same time, they do not occur at the same time. Therefore, they cannot have any connection. It is not just that action and thought that occur one behind the other are not connected with each other. It is also true that two thoughts that occur one behind the other are not connected with each other. Recognize that we assume that thoughts are connected. I am explaining something to you. What is your hidden assumption? That Ekta is explaining this shloka, then she's explaining this shloka, then she's explaining this shloka. So these shlokas are connected. This explanation is connected. Because it is nothing but one thought after another, after another, after another. I am again and again assuming there is a before and an after. I am again and again assuming that one is leading to the next. One is having an impact on the next. Isn't that happening right now also? Yeah. But look very, very carefully. Two thoughts, can they occur together? Or shloka 1 and shloka 2 connected in any way? I pretend that they are connected. I assume a story. And then I believe that story and then I hold on to it. In experiential recognition, there is no connection. We have seen this before, but let's see how Atmananda explains this next part. It is in our own experiential recognition. We see a thought arise, play, and set. This thought sets, there is an interval, and then the next one arises. There is a gap between the two, in which the preceding thought dies. It completely ceases to exist. Only after the death of this one thought, the next one arises. Then how can these two thoughts even come in contact with each other? How can they talk to each other? Therefore, a cause and effect relationship does not exist in my direct experience. a karma and karma phalam relationship does not exist in my direct experience. Let's look at two simultaneously occurring thoughts. Let's see what Atmananda says in verse 6 about them. Atmananda reminds us that we have already recognized this in the previous chapters, that there is one arising at a time. One arising at a time. On the single screen, there is no Dvaitam only. Two or more thoughts can never occur simultaneously. That is why they can never have a connection with each other. This means one cannot project the other. This means one cannot be the karma phalam caused by the other. Thus, Atmananda covers it from every angle. Every angle, so you do not find a loophole to escape and try to justify your false karma phalam theory or cause effect theory. Yeah. So he concludes in the next two verses that it is very, very clear, even if you see action and thought as two separate entities, these two separate entities are independent. Yeah? And two separate entities are independent, which means they cannot occur simultaneously, they cannot exist one in the other, they cannot contact each other. There is no story happening between the two, and there is no judge also sitting in the middle connecting these two. There is no connector thought in between these two that I see in my direct experience. So there is no connection. That means there is no bondage. Bondage is simply an illusion. So let's see how Atmananda explains it in the final two verses. So he's bringing up that thing again and again, that the only way an Ajatavadan can again fall back to Drishti Srishtivada level is because of his illusion that karma causes karma phalam. Whatever I am experiencing as this single screen of awareness or the singleness of knowledge is my karma. This subtle belief, this deluded thinking is still there in the Ajatavadin who is a beginner. So he is warning you. He says that action and thought, they are independent of each other. They exist independently. Even if you still believe in a separate action and a separate thought, they are independent. They cannot cause each other. There is no cause effect existing at all. There is no possibility between independently existing entities of cause and effect. Therefore, to think I am bound by what I am experiencing, or my family, my social circle, my career, this is all a single screen. I see it as a single screen, but I am bound by this. Otherwise, why am I experiencing this and Pamir is not experiencing this dukkha? That means I am bound by my single screen. This is the way an Ajatavadin can again start falling back into the illusion. So to prevent that from happening, he is bringing up this truth in front of you and breaking it down completely. Some of us even feel that, oh, I wake up to this single screen play every morning and I don't have a choice. So I am bound. This is also a story, no? This is also a thought that arises and passes away. That is also an illusion. So Atmananda in this chapter again and again repeats this. He tells us to fall back on the highest truth, that I am not the so-called person. That is why shift the I from the body-mind to the pure consciousness, to the light of awareness. And recognize the person does not exist only. What is this person? Action plus thought. Action appears, disappears. We just saw that. Thought appears, disappears. How can that which appears and disappears be a constantly existing entity called the person? And how can that which appears and disappears be bound by something that appears and disappears? It's irrational. It's only an illusory story. So, number one reminder that you must set for yourself at the Ajatavada level. Number one, thought appears and disappears. Thought is nothing but the dream state. Dream state is nothing but thought. Dream state appears, disappears. Similarly, action appears and disappears. Action is nothing but the waking state. The waking state is nothing but action. This waking state appears and disappears. Person is nothing but thought plus action. Both appear and disappear. Therefore, person appears and disappears. How can I be the person who appears and disappears? I am that who's observing this person appear and disappear, no? Who's knowing that this person appears and disappears, no? I am that in which the action, thought, the person, the waking state, the dream state appear and disappear. I am that Sat. I am that Sat that consists it all, and I am that Chid that is conscious of all that is arising and falling. Sat is not the karma, not the karma phalam. It simply is. There is simply the being. Just the being is Sat. Yeah? The nature of the Sad and Chid is Ananda, peace, bliss. So when there is only bliss as my nature, as me itself, then where is the bondage? Where is the one who is saying that I am bound? Illa. There is no bondage, there is nobody to be bound. And there is nothing to bind also. So, there is nobody to be liberated. This chapter is clear. What Atmananda is conveying to us is clear.